What's up, everyone? My name is Moses Griffith, and I'm Yari for the third floor. I'm here today to teach you how you can move like Moses. But we're not going to be talking about dance, no. We're going to be talking about how you can keep a Moses mentality and just what exactly a Moses mentality is. So, like I said earlier, we're going to talk about what exactly a Moses mentality is. And what it is how you can think like me. If you've seen me in these halls, I'm almost always in a great, cheery, bubbly mood. And we're going to talk about how you can keep that same energy. So, one big part of my mentality is I'm a very metacognitive person. I'm always thinking about what I'm thinking about, and that's one way that I manage my stress. Part of having a Moses mentality is being aware of your limits. It's important to know what exactly you're okay with dealing with and what you're not okay with dealing with. Say, for example, your friend is having a really big. Oh, I got you right now. So, a big part of a Moses mentality is having an awareness and understanding of where your limits are. Say, for example, you have that one friend that's just always dealing with relationship problems, and you're tired of hearing it. You may be at your limit for what you can tolerate at this point, and that is perfectly okay. One thing I do to be constantly aware of my limits is checking in with myself and literally just taking the time to ask myself, am I okay? Where is my stress at right now on a scale of 1 to 10? How can I reduce that stress? I know it may seem silly, but if you just take the time to sit down or even just a quick mental check-in every once in a while throughout the day, it can really help you raise awareness towards what's stressing you and help you focus on how you can better manage that stress. On the topic of metacognition, thinking about thinking, a big part of my mentality is to make sure that I'm constantly aware of just how much stress I'm carrying around throughout the day. So if, say, for instance, I start the day at a 2, it's been a good morning, I got my stuff done the day before, I woke up pretty good. I go on throughout the day, I have to deal with a couple of situations, now we're at maybe a 3. Something goes wrong in my day, something unexpected happens, and now I have to deal with the whole situation. Maybe I'll go up to a 5, but I don't let myself go past a 5 without doing something to bring it down. Speaking of managing stress, there are several ways in which I like to manage my stress, and we're going to go through a couple of them in just a second. One of the ways that I like to deal with stress is through music. So when I say through music, I mean through music. One way I would deal with it is I like to play. So one of the ways that I like to manage my stress is through music. And sometimes I like to play guitar. I taught myself guitar through YouTube videos during my freshman year of high school. I've had no actual practical training, but it's something that I like to do in my free time. I may not be great at it, but you don't always have to be great at everything you do. I feel like we forget sometimes that the important part of music isn't necessarily being good at it, it's to express ourselves. So here is like a short portion of a song that I did write. No, I will not be singing it, but this is just like the intro. Enjoy. So, yeah, music is meant to be cathartic. It's not meant to be something that's perfect. But yeah, that's how I manage my stress, through playing. Another way I manage my stress is through, whoops, we're gonna put that up. Another way I like to manage my stress is through listening to music. So these little beauties right here, these Skull Candy headphones, Bluetooth earphones, words, Bluetooth headphones are, they're just my world, to be honest. I don't know what I would do without my headphones. I like to put them in and just listen, and the way it helps me is, you ever just be mad at somebody and you know you can't really say what you want to say because there will be consequences to your actions? With music, you can say whatever, and it's just, I was just singing along to a song. I don't know if the shoe fits though. It helps me deal with anger, it helps me deal with sadness, it helps me put myself in a better state of mind, and that's a big portion of why I use music to help me manage my stress. It helps me stay where I need to be, and also it's something I can do in a short period of time. Maybe while I'm walking to class, I'll pop a headphone in and just listen to something to get me from point A to point B. If I'm waiting, I might sit down and listen, or if I'm reading. Music is a beautiful thing, to be honest. Last way I use music to manage my stress is through singing. So I'm pretty sure that none of you, not a single one of you, wants to hear me sing. Especially if you live with or near me. You have heard me sing enough times and you're tired of it. So I'm not going to bore you or traumatize you with my singing. Instead, I'm just going to talk about it for a bit. One big thing about singing is it's like listening to music, but on another level. It's, whenever you're in a mood, you can almost always find a song that closely matches it, or maybe even exactly. But when you sing, you give life to those words in a different kind of way. And one thing I do like to do, because I do like all kinds of music, especially when I'm upset, I like rock music or very loud music. I like to scream along to the songs. And that's my way of venting any aggression, negativity, negative energy, anything like that. I just get it out of my system. I'm gonna sit down for this one, I guess. Okay. So another way that I like to manage my stress is through breath work, which is where any really mindfulness exercise where I just focus on my breathing. So one thing I've done since like an early age is box breathing, which is, I believe, something it's somewhere in the military that they use this to like manage anxiety, I believe. And anytime I run into someone who's struggling with that, one of the first things I'll recommend to them is to breathe, and not just breathe, but focus on how you're breathing. So I guess there is no I guess, this is my video. We're going to go through box breathing together. And the way it works is you take a deep breath in, and you're going to breathe in for 4 counts, 4 seconds, however you want to count it. So then you're going to hold that for 4 seconds. And then you exhale for 4 more seconds. And then you hold that for 4 more seconds. So the entire time, you basically want to be focusing on being aware of your breath, where it's going, where it's at, and just taking yourself out of the current situation and turning your focus inward. So we're going to do that a couple of times to just like de-stress a little, because who doesn't need to take a breath every once in a while? And while I'm doing this, I like to sometimes turn my attention not just towards my breath, but also towards other parts of my body. Is there any tension in my head? Is there tension in my jaw? Can I relax that? Are my shoulders tense? Can I let that drop back? Is my tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth? Let's relax that too. Do a self-inventory and go over where you feel tension. And this is one of the physical activities I like to do to relieve stress. Another part of a Moses mentality is having a morning routine that you can stick to that kind of centers you in the moment. For me, I have like my specific routine. I'll get up whenever I'm ready to get up, but I get up. I'm trying to add in the lights to my schedule where I turn them on at a specific time, but I don't see that happening. My schedule's pretty much set. So my routine is more so I get up. When I'm ready to start my day, I go into the bathroom. I brush my teeth first. I go through a quick morning workout. It'll just be something to get my body up and going so that I know that it's time to actually wake up. I then from there go straight into my shower, come out of my shower. I'll have a quick skincare routine, which we're not really going to go over. But if you want to know more about skincare, check out R.A. Camilla's video on our Sunni Broom YouTube video. Yeah, basically those three things. And I like to make sure that I get them done in the same order every morning. The important thing about having a routine isn't just sticking with it. It's also making sure that you romanticize this routine. This routine should not just be something that you do every morning. It should be something that's sacred to you. Kind of like if you're religious and you pray every morning because it's very important to you and it's a part of who you are. You need to make your routines part of who you are, and that'll make them so much easier to stick to. Another way I like to manage my stress is through writing. I like to write whenever I have the free time, which unfortunately recently has been less often than I'd like, but it's coming around. So another way that I like to manage my stress is through this thing called shadow work, which is a sort of activity, I would say, where you address the parts of your personality that you might have looked back on negatively or that you might not show others, and then taking the time to address maybe why you don't show it, how it's affected your life, or maybe it has infected your life, who knows. And basically using that to both try to understand the parts of myself that I like less, and also attempt to maybe like them more. I'm sure everyone has parts of themselves that they don't necessarily share with everyone, or that they don't really like. And honestly, at this point, I really believe that's just a part of growing up. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean that you will 100% grow out of it. Sometimes you're stuck with parts of yourself that you can't change. But you don't necessarily have to change those things. You just have to accept that those things are a part of you and a part of who you are. And then you can work from there. So yeah. Another big thing I like to use to make sure I'm in a right frame of mind is... Give me 1 second. The other thing I like to use is my precious right here. And no, I don't mean the dragon, although this is a beautiful piece of artwork. Like, I'm going to give you some time to just admire the craftsmanship on this, because it's astonishing. It is beautiful. It deserves to be praised. But anyway, what's important is not the dragon, although the dragon is very important. What's more important is what's inside the dragon, which are several different crystals. I have here, I'm very bad with chains, rose quartz, some obsidian, some tiger's eye, some black agate, some amethyst. Basically, I have a lot of them, and what it does for me is every crystal has a specific meaning or symbolism behind it, and it gives me something to turn my attention towards and make sure that I'm meeting. For example, I'm just gonna grab a random one and see what happens. Black agate. Okay. So when it comes to black agate, it represents prosperity and courage, or that's what it's meant to bring about. And it's supposed to help keep you grounded. For me, I also like to consider like the personal associations I make with them. So whenever I think of this one, I always think about making sure to keep in touch with myself. For example, you see the moon here, and I would like to hold it so you guys can actually see it. But the reason why I think of that is because there's this one scene in Romeo and Juliet where Juliet is like, please don't swear by that ever incessant moon. Basically, Romeo was professing his love, and Juliet's like, please don't swear by the moon. It's so inconsistent. And I always looked at that scene like, huh? Because if you really compare the moon and the sun always disappears. The sun is moving around, and when you don't see it, it's because it's not there. If the sun is there, you're going to see it. But with the moon is always up in the sky, and even though it changes forms and sometimes you can't necessarily see it, that moon does not move. That moon is always there waiting for the earth to turn and face it again. So when I think of the moon, I actually always go back to that quote, and I see it as just consistency. So yeah. I'm just gonna grab two more, I guess. Let me actually not look. I'm looking. I'm going to mix them up. I can kind of tell them by touch, so instead I'm just gonna grab it by the chain. So this one specifically is obsidian. This one is a phoenix and dragon medallion, and it's out of carved obsidian. Let me just get that closer for y'all to see. I hope that's a good enough spot. Yeah, good. Okay. And so what this one reminds me of is to keep both my positives and my negatives in balance, both the things that I like and the things that I don't like. Because when it comes to like the phoenix and dragon, in a lot of Japanese folklore mythology, they're kind of these two opposing forces, but also two necessary forces that balance each other out. Kind of like yin and yang. So obsidian itself is, again, another thing that's focused on grounding and also keeping in touch with yourself. So with this one, it reminds me to just keep in touch with both the good and bad and make sure that I'm balancing the two. I can't be always positive. I can't be always negative. One thing I will say on that is the trick to being happy all the time is not being happy all the time. All of that negativity that you experience throughout the day, it has to come out somewhere. And you have to take control of where you're letting it out at. And I'm just going to grab one more and stop looking. I'm going to grab one more and see where it takes me. I'm going to grab the chain so that I don't know it by touch. And we have... Which one is you? We got a couple stuck together. I'm just gonna take you down. I do believe it is the amethyst that is attached to this. So amethyst is both like a calming and a soothing stone, and this one in particular is an amethyst owl. All of these I've ordered from somewhere. It doesn't really matter where I got them. This one in particular, if I can get a nice enough shot, is an amethyst owl. If I could get it to turn around. Yeah. And what this one reminds me of is just to take the time to be peaceful and also to be wise, because owls are very wise creatures in a lot of folklore and mythology. So, yeah, that's another thing I use to help keep my Moses mentality. Another way I like to keep my Moses mentality is by controlling my environment. So, in my room, if I'm in the same room 24/7 every day, and I'll give you an example. The room looks like this. See how depressing this room just got? It's so dark and dreary. I like to take all five of my senses into account. So, in terms of my eyes, I'm making sure that it's a well-lit room. I'm getting my sunlight in, and I'm keeping a positive environment. In terms of my ears, I have my music always. I have a speaker, I have my headphones, I have my guitar. There's always some type of pleasant sounds that I can make. In terms of smell, that is a sense, I keep lavender scented air fresheners, the air gels. I even have lavender sachets of just like actual lavender spread throughout my room and even in my sleep. Lavender itself is a very calming scent, and I like to take advantage of the fact that I have access to all of these things that can make my life just a little bit easier. With all that being said, if you only take one thing out of this video, I would say the biggest thing about a Moses mentality is finding what works for you. Because in all honesty, the things that I use to manage my stress may not be what you're comfortable doing. The important thing is that you're looking for some way to manage it, and that you're balancing your negative and your positive energies. So yeah, that's how you move like Moses.